What's the sense that you're getting on the market? If we can digest a news coming in such as the RBI governor going, who is loved by the market, I mean, it's no reason to doubt that on sidelines a lot of money is waiting to come at lower levels.
Absolutely, Pankaj. Good afternoon to you. And first of all, and I'm sensing that it's not just the RBI news or the news with the RBI governor, but I think you're heading into I think just a day or two away. You're heading into a big event like Brexit. I think it's been a talking point since the last 3 or 4 weeks, and the markets are not all jittery. At least the signs are not showing any signs of jitters over here. At 8200, almost like a 3 or 4 month high. We're trading and heading into a big event. So I think that says a lot about the kind of, whether it's money into the sidelines or whether it's, investors not really ready to book profits. You look at the churns in terms of sectors as well. I think except for the pharma names, I think all the sectors have been doing pretty well in the last 3 to 4 weeks as well. So I'm sensing that, it's probably going to have some sort of strong bullish, implications over the next couple of days. I believe if Brexit impact doesn't have any major impact on our markets, then I'm pretty sure that Nifty or Sensex both have potential of rising more than 4 or 5% in a matter of weeks.
Ex-governor, yesterday markets were actually underperforming. So if that would have not been the case, probably 8300 could have been taken out.
It could have been, Pankaj. I think the markets are trying to respect this range. I think 8,000, 8,060, 8,080 is the base which we tried to test in just 4 or 5 trading sessions back, and closer to 8,300. So I think till the time we don't break out of this range, whether any sort of news which comes out and the markets are able to absorb this news, I would take that as a good sign rather than as a sign of worry. I think breaking 8,300 could probably be just one more set of formality in terms of breaking resistances, which we have been doing this for the last 4 months from start of March 2016. So I'm pretty optimistic that till the time we don't break 8,080, I don't see any signs of major worry for the trend as well. The indicators which I look at for Nifty on a medium term basis as well, a lot of these indicators on Nifty and couple of these key stocks have turned into positive in the last 3-4 trading sessions. So I'm assuming that if as I said, if the Brexit fear doesn't impact the markets significantly, I won't be surprised with at least a 4 or 5% jump on the index as well.
Is the pound movement already telling us that Brexit will not happen?
I think it's difficult to say that, because I think the currency, I think for India as well, I think the currency has depreciated around 60 or 70 paise in the last 3-4 trading sessions, and probably for rupee, I think if you look at the charts of rupee, there are some signs of weakness which is developing. So it's possible that rupee can probably depreciate to 68, 68 and a half in a matter of week. But I think the key part over here is that on one hand you have rupee which is showing some signs of weakness, but on the other hand it's equity size, which the equity markets which are not ready to budge, the kind of trend which you've been seeing in the last 3 months. So it's a different really game to predict over here, that whether the fall in rupee, if it happens, could probably take the slide or take a toll on the equity markets or not, or whether equity markets would probably have a different trend altogether. So it's really difficult to predict at this point of time. But yes, I think the interesting part would be, I think post Thursday, I think when the markets open for Friday, I think that is where one can actually assess the impact. And as I said, if equity markets across the world, even if they open flattish or mildly negative, I would take that as a good sign of positivity.
Right. Some of the Midcap names, can you just tell us what essentially is happening over there? So Motherson Sumi, after a long time, has done pretty well. It's at around 300 levels. How would you look at that name?
Yes, Pankaj, it's been doing pretty well. I think over the last 4 or 5 weeks, it's been showing some signs of marginal upside patterns. I think the pattern of higher highs and higher lows, where we call some sort of a short-term uptrend. But I think the key part over here is that there is a momentum which is lacking in Motherson Sumi. So maybe the trend could probably be more or less sideways for the next few weeks as well. In terms of entry point, I would look out for somewhere closer to 283, 284 as a good entry point for Motherson Sumi. I think if the stock corrects to those levels, say in the next 3, 4, 5 trading sessions, I would take that as a good confident buying.
Right. How would you look at Arvind Limited? 325. I think it's come to a new price today. No, I think the year high was 365. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I think it's a good swing breakout. I think as I said that most of these stocks have gone through a period of consolidation. Now, generally, when you see a consolidation, I think the key indicator which one has to look at is Bollinger Bands, and when the Bollinger Bands contract, and then when you see a move in the direction, I think that is where the bands start to expand and the trend begins once again. For Arvind Limited, I think it's exactly similar. You've seen a volume explosion today. You've seen a band, rather the price hitting the upper end of the band. So, there are a lot of positive confirmations for Arvind and probably for more or less some of the other textile stocks as well. I would believe that this could have implications for the next 2-3 days as well. I think the target from a short-term perspective for Arvind could be placed at 333, 335 range.
Right, but as you're saying, it's just a very short-term trend and it could turn any time. There's no point buying it right now.
Well, you can definitely look to trade. I think I think a trade of 3 or 4% in a matter of 2 or 3 days is not a bad trade to really offer, because I think the risk reward is also 1:3, 1:4. So I would not. In fact, I would definitely look out to enter into Arvind. We've already given flash our call from our side as well to our clients, and that's what we are expecting, a target closer to 335. So it's probably depending on the kind of time frame anyone is looking at a trading perspective. 1 or 2 days, I think, could probably enter the stock.
Right. Can you just talk to us about a name called Ipca Labs? Now, this is a name which got an initiation coming in from, upgrade coming in from CLSA. And after that, it's done about 60, 80 rupees from there. And it's been a very big underperformer versus the pharma pack. Do you think it will play a catch-up role now?
Well, it's a bit difficult to say. I think the medium-term trend, I think from 2014, what I can see from the chart, this is not a chart, I track too often, but I think, yes, looking at the chart so far as of now, I think this has been 1 month. I think after a series of 6 or 7 months, that the stock is showing signs. I think whether the news came out and probably that impacted this sort of buying trigger, but I think the trend for the last 8 or 9 months has been bearish for Ipca Laboratories. You might probably see one more round of upside on the stock, because that is where we generally see some bullish engulfing pattern which is developing, that could probably have an implication probably for the next 2-3 weeks as well. So I think 525, 530 could probably be a very short-term target for Ipca Laboratories for anyone who's looking long. But I really believe that the longer-term pattern for the stock has been damaged. If anyone is holding the stock, assuming and if you can try and exit around 525, 530 range, I think that could be a better trade rather than looking at these short-term uptrends on a chart which is showing some longer-term negativity.
How is Jet Airways looking? Yesterday there was a big spike. Today it's giving up some of the gains. Interglobe Aviation, last I checked, was looking in weak.
Yeah, I think this seems to be more of a trading bet. I think Jet Airways is now trying to go into a range. I think the bands which expanded, the Bollinger Bands which I was talking of, I think when they expanded, they are now probably going to a phase of consolidation, or where the bandwidth is trying to reduce. So I would expect, or I would believe that probably Jet Airways would remain in a range. I think closer to 545, 548 would be the support for Jet Airways, and closer to 585, 590 would be the resistance. So I think if anyone is looking at a contra play, I think you could probably try and catch the stock at these critical reversal points and look for a contrarian trade.
Right. Kunal, as we were just talking, all the other textile names are gaining in. So we just spoke about Arvind Limited, but some of the other ones are also actually gaining in. So we have the likes of Garden Silk up 10%, Indorama Synthetics has gone up 10%, RSWM has done particularly well. So all these textile names are going around. Kunal, what do you look at Tata Motors at? 484. I mean, you had earlier told that, you would not look to buy it aggressively, but till it is above 425, it's in a positive territory. That's clearly what I remember when it was at around 440 rupees. How would you look at it now at 480? Do you think still, all the charts are broken and it's on the positive side still?
Yes, Pankaj. In fact, what I had mentioned, the last time when we interacted, I think the Tata Motors, the longer-term charts for Tata Motors is good. Now it's just about finding those right entry points, and if you see corrections of 5 or 7% for Tata Motors, I think take that as good entry point. I think we saw somewhat similar happening for Tata Motors, mid of rather start of this month of June, where the stock corrected from 474, 475 to just below 450 levels. I think that could be good entry point of as I said, a correction of 5 or 7% magnitude. Now, if something similar probably comes in Tata Motors once again, and if the stock takes support around that 450 mark once again, I think that could be one another entry point for Tata Motors. The longer term trend is good, so I think it's just about finding the right entry points and the moment to do that, and then you can probably wait and look out for further targets. So I'm pretty optimistic on the stock given the fact that it's broken some longer term chart patterns. But in terms of entry points, I would still stand by and wait for corrections of 5 or 7%.
Can it touch back the levels of 600 where it had reversed back from?
Yes, Pankaj, it definitely has potential. It has strong potential. I think it's not just the price breakout which triggers a lot of move on the upside. I think it has to do with a lot of indicator breakouts as well, and generally those are the ones which generally give push to the prices far more significantly. For Tata Motors as well, I think if you look at the weekly or the monthly charts or the monthly RSI, it went into a period of a congestion zone, and now it's given a breakout. And these breakouts generally on monthly charts have a rippling effect subsequently over the next few months. So I think given the fact that the markets are heading into a bigger event, so I think that could be one risk. But I think other than that, if I remove that from the market perspective, then I'm pretty sure that in a span of maybe 3 or 6 months, I would be optimistic and probably have a target more than 600 for Tata Motors.
Right, more than 600. And Tata Motors DVR, you think it will be a bigger outperformer versus Tata Motors? Any view now that it has volumes, it's a part of Nifty, and a lot of index funds are also looking at that name?
Well, I think it's difficult for Tata Motors DVR to outperform significantly. I think that is what I can sense from the chart, because at one point of time, if you look at the pattern comparison for Tata Motors and Tata Motors DVR, I think the breakout level for Tata Motors was closer to 402, 403 on the weekly or the monthly charts, and the stock is now almost approximately 20% up from those levels. For Tata Motors DVR, I think the breakout level is closer to 306, 307, and the stock is not even 10% above that breakout level. So there is a clear set of underperformance if I have a look at it in terms of chart to chart comparison. So I think I would probably place more emphasis, because the fact that a stock which is gaining into momentum has more possibility of continuing the momentum rather than the stock which is just about starting its uptrend. So I would probably look out for more positives on Tata Motors. And yes, I think if that continues, probably Tata Motors DVR can try and catch up, but I would not be really keen in terms of the outperformance Tata Motors DVR can probably portray.
Right, and some of the other names, Maruti, M&M has been a decent underperformer. You think that will play a catch-up role now?
I think Maruti, Pankaj, I think, in the last 4 months, you've seen 2 big months for Maruti, but I think, this month and the month, subsequent to that, I think, month of April, you've seen some mild outperformance for Maruti. I think, more or less the trend is probably going flattish for Maruti. So, I would believe that if the stock reverses, I think that could be a good shorting opportunity, because the stock is also holding just around the 200-day moving average. So I think if the stock gives you a negative day, and if it reverses below this average, I would take that as a good entry point to probably initiate short positions on Maruti. M&M on the other hand, I think the longer term chart patterns are still consolidating. I think the range for M&M is closer to 1160 on the downside, and I think on the upside it's closer to 1380, 1390. So till the time you don't see a decisive break above 1400 on the weekly or the monthly charts, I think it's going to be difficult to really call the major reversal for M&M. But I think yes, as I said, the prospects are good. If one has patience and probably waits for 1400 break, I think M&M could probably offer some decent returns.
Kunal, any view on Hindalco and Vedanta? Last time around also you told that the charts are such that you would not want to go ahead and sell. Are they going into a buy zone now? Would you want to buy them on every decline now?
Well, I think yes. I think that as I said, that the trend for these stocks is good for Hindalco and Vedanta. I think I mentioned that the medium-term trend is good. But I think today, I think Pankaj, I think for many of these stocks, I think JSW Steel, Vedanta, particularly these 2 names, I think they've entered into the overbought territory on the hourly charts, and not just on the RSI, but on a couple of other indicators, rather oscillators, which I look at. So I would really be keen to watch Vedanta over the next couple of days. I think keeping a stop loss of 130, 131, if anyone is looking to have a contrarian trade, I think you can look out to sell Vedanta as well. because of the kind of over bullishness on the hourly chart pattern. So I would expect that the stock can probably reverse till 120, 119 approximately, and as I said, a stop loss closer to 130, 131.
Right. Aditya, any view on these metal pack? Would you be biased into these names? They've had phenomenal run from the lows up.
Afternoon, Pankaj. Well, if you see all the metal stocks, then the overall strength overall trend is still bullish. Means they have seen a significant rally from lower levels, especially if we see Vedanta. And in last one and a half months, stock has rallied from 90 levels to 129, 130 levels. So we can see a minor profit booking in Vedanta and also all the other metal stocks. But overall structure is still bullish. So I will not advise to make short positions. If there's any meaningful correction, if Vedanta comes in the range of 120 or 118, that is a good time where one can again go long in Vedanta, keeping a stop loss of 109 with a medium-term target of 130, and above that 140 is the next target. Similarly, we see Hindalco, Tata Steel also, then overall strength is still good. Overall charts are looking good. But yes, it will be advisable to buy on dips if Hindalco comes in the range of 118, 115. That is a good level where one can go long in Hindalco also.
Right. Kunal, if we look at some of the names from the mid-cap space, Muthoot Finance has done very well. It's not a part of F&O series, but, it has a decent history. Can you just look at the charts and tell us, is it coming into the long-term buy zone now?
Yes, Pankaj, it definitely comes into the long-term buy zone. I think the last 5 or 7 weeks approximately, you've seen a good accumulation of volumes. The price moved from 220 or rather 200 range approximately, and now entered into a new range. Now this is a good sign because if probably after a decent consolidation, the stock is going up, shifting the range, and the volumes are also averaging up. What's going to be more interesting for anyone who's holding probably Muthoot Finance would be that, assuming if the stock consolidates, say for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, and the volumes drop, I think take that as a good sign, because I think it means that the longer term players or the players who have entered into long positions in the stock are managing to hold on to their position. So I think I would be pretty optimistic on Muthoot Finance chart, given the fact that if the stock consolidates, the volumes have to dry up, and the momentum or the trend would probably catch up once again.
Right. As far as something on largely on the pharma side is concerned, Kunal, anything interesting that you can pick up? Any of these names, Aurobindo, Lupin, Sun Pharma, big underperformers? You think time has come out to look at these names?
Well, it's difficult, Pankaj. I think the only aspect which I'm looking at for many of these names like Lupin and Aurobindo Pharma is generally I am of the belief that if a stock probably hits its double support or double bottom, probably after a longer term duration, those are very critical signs. It probably gives you an indication that the stock is actually trying to break its support after a period of 3-4 months. For Aurobindo Pharma, I think we've tested the 720 support almost 4 times in the last 4 trading sessions, and I think every day we've been managing to hit a new low, but the stock tries to recover and come back. So I think I would take that as a decent sign building up, but I would not want to preempt. For Aurobindo Pharma, I would probably look out for some sort of reversals. If the stock gives you, good bullish formation, say over the next 1 to 3 days, then I would take that as a good contrarian buying, because then the setup becomes very strong, for a contrarian perspective on Aurobindo Pharma. So I would not be really keen into entering into positions in many of these pharma names. Probably wait for some sort of 2 days or 3 days consecutive reversal. If that happens, then you can probably take a long trade.
Right. Aditya, any view on Aurobindo Pharma, or maybe even a Sun Pharma or Lupin, if you like anything?
Well, Pankaj, if we see pharma, then means now for last couple of months, in fact, we are seeing that pharma is under bear territory. Means we are continuously seeing some selling pressure at higher levels. In between, we saw 1 or 2 days of pullback, but overall strength of pharma is weakening, and we are seeing it in all the pharma stocks. Now we are witnessing some fresh short position getting built up on any pullback. So we are not recommending a long positions in pharma as of now. Yes, one stock is the Cipla, in which we are expecting some pullback from lower levels. But again, this pullback will be a fairly short term. We are expecting target of 510, 515 only. Nothing much from these levels. So if you see Aurobindo Pharma, Sun Pharma, Dr. Reddy, Lupin, all these stocks are looking weak, and also Wockhardt Pharma. So I won't recommend a buy in all these counter. But yes, Cipla is one stock in which we are recommending a long positions if the stocks comes in the range of 475, 470 with a stop loss of 460, and in short term we are expecting target of 510 to 515.
Right. How would you look at United Phosphorus, Aditya?
Well, if we see UPL, then after a long rally, now stock is consolidating in a range of 550 and 620 levels. If it breaks 550, then in that case we may see some more unwinding of long position, and stock may come towards 520 levels. But if it's whole 550 levels, then we can see a pullback towards 590 and 600 levels. But now on the last couple of days we are seeing some fresh short positions. So my belief is that if stocks breaks 550, then one can go short with target of 520.
Right. How would you look at UPL, Kunal? Off late has been one of the names which has been in focus.
Yeah, Pankaj, I think the structure for UPL is quite okay. I think it's just that the exuberant move which probably started in March and April for UPL. It's now trying to negate that and probably having some sort of a mean reversion, trying to come back to those medium-term moving averages. So I think if you look at it in the last 2 months, from those differentials of almost 14% or 15% from its 50-day moving average, now the difference is almost zero. I think it's just about touching the 50-day moving average, which is a good sign, because then it probably gives more sanctity to the longer term trend once again. So I would probably be optimistic on UPL. In fact, I would take dips now closer to 550 as a good entry point for UPL from a contrarian perspective, assuming that the trend which it started 4 or 5 months back would probably resume once again.
So Aditya, any view on Motherson Sumi? So today's high was 308. It closed at 300. So 300 continues to be an important level.
Well, if we see Motherson Sumi, then stock has seen a one-side rally from 200 levels. Means it has in last 3 or 4 months stock has rallied by 50%, and now at current level stock is facing stiff resistance in the range of 308, 310 levels, and it will be difficult for this stock to break this level. And if it breaks 310 and sustains above that, then in that case we may see some more rally and stock may rally towards 340, 350 levels. So structure is overall positive. I won't recommend as short positions, but yes, long positions. If someone wants to initiate fresh long position, then I would advise to wait for some time. If the stocks breaches 310 and sustains above that, then they can initiate fresh short long positions with a target of 340, 350.
Right. As far as some of the other mid-cap names are concerned, how would you look at Arvind Limited? You think it's a name which can do well from here on as well?
Well, definitely means if we see the chart of Arvind, it is quite bullish, and in today's session, stock has added almost 21% shares in open interest, which is long side. Immediate resistance is at 330. Stock has closed just at the day's high level around 329 half levels in futures. So we are expecting the stock will continue to outperform the market, and in short term it may test 360, 365 levels. So still from current levels also there's some 10% upside which we are expecting in near term. So one can initiate long positions at current level also, and if the stocks comes in around 320 level, that is one can add some more long positions, keeping a stop loss of 305. On higher side we are expecting target of 360, 365.
Ashok Leyland, 2% higher, 102.
Well, if we see Ashok Leyland, then 95, 96 is a very crucial support level for Ashok Leyland, and from those levels we have seen a pullback. In yesterday's session, stock tested 95, 96 and saw some buying in yesterday's trade. Today again we have seen some follow-up short covering in Ashok Leyland. So we are expecting that that this stock may again retest its previous levels of 108, 112 levels in short term. So again, it's a good stock in which one can initiate long positions, keeping a stop loss of 96 with a short to medium term target of 108 to 112.
Right. The way it is recovered from the recent losses, it tells you that the long run chart continues to be bullish.
Well, yes, means if we see long term chart of Ashok Leyland weekly or monthly chart, then there is nothing much has changed. Yes, we saw some correction from 114 to 94, 95 levels in May series, but after that again we have seen a sharp recovery in the counter, and this time again we have seen some profit booking in last 3-4 trading sessions, but structure still remains positive. Stock gave breakout above 94, 95, and now it is finding strong support in the same region. So till that time stock doesn't break 94 on lower side and sustains below that, overall structure remains bullish, and we would advise to recommend long position on any decline with a positional stop loss of 94, keeping below 94, and on short to medium term 114, 115 is the target. But if someone wants to hold for long term, then again the overall structure is bullish. We are expecting 130 to 140 also.
Right. Any view on Tata Motors and DVR?
Well, if we Well, if we see Tata Motors or Tata Motors DVR, means both these stocks are looking good. Means if we see Tata Motors, yesterday stock saw some sharp rally. 430, 440 was a support. From those levels only we have seen a pullback. And in this rally, we are seeing some fresh long position getting built up in Tata Motors and also Tata Motors DVR. So at current levels, if we see, then 485, 486 is immediate resistance. We are seeing some profit booking around those levels, but overall structure is still good. So if it breaks 486 levels, I would recommend to initiate fresh long positions in Tata Motors with a short to medium term target of 530 to 550 levels. Similarly, if we see Tata Motors DVR, then it has a immediate resistance in the range of 326, 328 levels. And if that is broken, then we can expect easily means this stock to test 360, 370 levels. So Tata Motors DVR, both these stocks are good, and means any decline can be used to initiate long positions, or means the level which we discussed above those also one can initiate long positions.
Right. Thank you so much for taking out time for us, Aditya. Hope to see you again.